Lights up!
Welcome everybody to the brand new episode of Lights Up, the podcast for Putney Theatre Company. I am delighted to be able to talk to you today about our new August production called The Curious Incident of the Dog at Nighttime. Now, I'm sure many of you will be familiar with the international best-selling novel by Mark Haddon, but this play is adapted by Simon Stevens, and now it's taking place in the main stage from the 26th to the 30th of August. And there's a relaxed performance on the matinee on Saturday. If you want to find out more details about what a relaxed performance actually entails, then please do go to our website for more information. That's www.putneyartstheatre.org.uk. And guess what? You can also get your tickets there as well. Now I'm going to hand you over to Frances Bodiam, our fabulous director, and she will be interviewing 4 of the cast members, Elly, Aidan, Harry and Sabrina, who will talk about how beautiful and magical this story is and how really an incredible family drama that you will be witnessing. So Frances, over to you.
Thanks, Kate. Hi everyone. We're joined today by the cast of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, or some of the cast, not all of the cast because there are 12 of them. I'm Frances and I'm the director, and I'm going to ask you all to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Aidan and I am playing Ed Boone.
Hello, I am Harry and I'm playing Christopher Boone.
Hi, I'm Elly and I'm playing Judy Boone.
We have the whole family. And then we also have...
Hi, I'm Sabrina and I'm playing Mrs. Gascoigne, who is the headmistress for Christopher, and Punk Girl and part of the ensemble.
So we have a big question. What is The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime? It was a play written by Simon Stevens, in fact adapted from the novel by Mark Haddon, which was published in 2003, and then the play was first performed in 2012. And Simon wrote the play, adapted the play at Mark's actual request, and has been performed so many times in the UK, on Broadway, regionally, by professional and amateur theatre companies ever since, because it has such a wonderful message, and we are presenting it in our own inimitable ways. So let's just ask about the themes of the play.
Well, we went back and forth about this, didn't we, in our first rehearsals, and I think the main themes change depending on who you're playing. That was really the conversation that we had. So obviously we've got 3 members of the family here, so family came up quite high, but also how brave you have to be in the face of diversity as well.
Excellent, yes. And it's a play about hope, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's funny because as my character, I would not say hope at all. That would be far down my list. But I think for other characters, that would actually be true. So I think hope comes through the different characters rather than mine, and how we can all work as a collective to help each other.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think what we have found actually is a very close-knit community of cast. We found lots of friendships and lots of opportunities to connect between one another, as well as cast members interacting as characters. Harry, what do you feel like, as Christopher Boone, who you're playing, how do you feel your main themes?
I think I've said... I agree with everything Elly said, and I think those are some of the themes. But I think as well, for me, when I first read the play and the book, I thought it was I think it's a story about a community and society, and how communities and societies react to someone who acts or thinks differently to them. And I think that comes across in our play, because I actually think the most exciting things that happen, or the most exciting elements of the story, are what everyone other than Christopher does, really. I think it's how people react to him, whether that's in a positive interaction or it's a challenging one. And I think that says heaps about society and how we do respond to people of different neurodiversities.
I think that's true. Aidan, what have you found are the most interesting themes that you've been able to explore through the process?
From a very personal point of view, looking at Ed's character, I think that there is a difficulty that he finds in letting go. He has spent his life so far protecting Christopher and trying to do an awful lot for him, and Christopher branches out a little bit more than perhaps Ed is comfortable with, and he has to come to terms with that. And I think that general idea of a parent allowing their child to be more than merely their child, but to become a person in their own right is an interesting development.
Sabrina, as you're playing Mrs. Gascoigne, who is the head teacher at Christopher's school, but you also have a number of other roles to play. As Mrs. Gascoigne, or shall we say Punk Girl, who is the name of your character in the script, what would you have said that you found are the themes, sort of recurring themes during the process?
Yes, definitely around that sense of community and how those around you can shape and mimic and reflect what you're feeling inside. So when we, as the ensemble, are really around Christopher when he's traveling, I don't want to spoiler alerts, but as he goes on his adventures, visualizing that as he sees it, I think is the really cool theme that I love exploring.
I think the ensemble also, through the movement, create the theme of protection and safety as well in their different guises, which has been really interesting to watch develop as well.
Yeah, or stress, when he gets to certain places.
Which leads us neatly on to Christopher himself, doesn't it, Harry?
So Christopher's a 15-year-old boy. He lives in Swindon. That's where he's grown up. It's the only place or world he has ever really known. And interestingly, for those who've read the novel, people might be aware that he's not actually ever described as having autism or described as having any kind of condition. And I believe when Mark Haddon wrote the character, he just wanted to write about someone who lived by a certain set of rules and wrote the rest of the story from there. But I think, given what we know about autism and what we know about autistic people, I think a lot of people, having read it or having seen the play, would probably agree or think that Christopher is autistic. But essentially he sees the world in a different way to people. He doesn't do well in reading emotions, but what he does do really well is following things logically. So he's really great at maths. Some would argue he loves maths. Others would argue that he doesn't love maths. It's just what he understands. And that's probably been the worst part of playing Christopher, is having to learn all these sequences of numbers. But the worst bit is there's another member of the cast who's actually a maths teacher. Mm-hmm. And so when you get some of those numbers wrong, you get looks shot at you. And you feel a lot of judgment passed over you at the time.
And at this point, we should tell you, friends and
There is a
listeners,
hand going up in the corner.
that Aidan is the maths teacher who casts the looks across the stage when Harry gets the numbers wrong.
They're prime numbers. They are prime numbers, cubic numbers, and powers of 2. Those are the 3 sequences that Christopher comes out with.
So what else can we say about Christopher?
Yeah, there's some things that, again, going back to the novel, Mark Haddon writes about that clearly Christopher likes, but I think there are some other things that we can infer. He likes maths. He likes outer space. He likes the colours red and metal colour. And he doesn't like yellow and brown. He doesn't like making eye contact. He doesn't like being touched. He doesn't like being around other people. And one thing I think he does really like is animals. He does have a pet rat, and I think he finds a lot of solace in animals because I think he can understand them probably better than he can people, and I think that's probably why he takes so much interest in the murder of a dog. He likes adventure. He likes answering questions and figuring out puzzles. I think that's probably the most important thing about what Christopher likes.
Because he wants to solve the murder of the dog.
Sure.
All right, let's move on swiftly. Our production is nothing like the National Theatre production that some people may have seen. Apparently a lot of people in the world have seen it. How is our production different, Elly, to what people may have seen in the National Theatre production?
So I saw the National Theatre production and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. When I heard that Putney Theatre Company were doing it, I worried. I wanted to audition, but I worried because I thought, is it the production that was so good, or is the play good as well? So I read the play for the first time. I would say that our production is very different to the national, because the national one relied a lot on the technical side, the technical aspect of the theatre and what you can do and the magic you can create with that. And of course we are using some tech, but not at all to that extent. I feel like we're getting under the skin of the characters. And I know that when I saw it, I felt that Judy, my character, was almost like quite 2D, and she was just the villain and that was the end of her story. And actually I just don't think that's the case at all after doing a lot of work with her. So hopefully that will come through in performance as well. And I think our production is allowing that to come through.
And I guess we can reveal that when we were prepping for the production and we'd all just been cast and everyone was very excited, we were very lucky to meet with Simon Stevens. I think, Elly, you were actually on the top of a bus.
I was.
Travelling home from work.
Yeah.
What did we learn from him, Sabrina? What did he teach us about the play that we didn't maybe know or wouldn't have thought about before?
Kind of like you said at the beginning, how he came about writing it. But it was cool that he was just hanging out with Mark, who wrote the novel, and was like, oh, we were similar guys, both kids, and we just got talking and stuff. And apparently that, I guess a lot of people had been thinking about, this is a great novel, can you turn it into a play? He was grappling with that himself, Simon. So he's talking about how he got over that and did it. And it's great. And then for us as actors, I thought he gave some really great tips as well. He gave us his 4 rules at the end around knowing your objective, and when you're looking at the text, really saying that last line very clearly and hitting that, which was interesting to hear from the perspective of a playwright. It's like, I'm writing these words for a purpose. So say
them and mean them.
And mean it. So that was great, and he was just a nice guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
His dog came in halfway through, and his wife was like, "Oh, sorry," and he was like, "Oh, no problem, sweetie." And I was like, "He seems really nice." He seems like a nice library. So it was great.
Yeah, he was really interesting, wasn't he, Aidan? If there's anything that you would add to that?
Again, from a slightly selfish perspective, I was interested with his admission that he'd had long debates with Marion Elliott, who directed the national version, about Ed's character, and the fact that he, on the one hand, he's been incredibly patient looking after Christopher, and on the other hand, he drinks a little bit too much, and he can be, shall we say, abrasive.
Short-tempered, I think you might say.
Short-tempered, possibly even bad-tempered on occasion, and which was perhaps the stronger element to his character. And Marianne felt it was the more negative side of Ed, and Simon felt it was the more positive side of Ed. I'm firmly in Simon's camp.
He did admit to having a very soft spot for Ed. As we discussed, it was very interesting how he felt about him. He was so pleased to be talking about the play again with a group of people who were just discovering it, rejoicing and enjoying the fact that we were just talking about the characters and what we're finding and what we're saying. And I think something you said, Elly, about the script and how revealing it is that these characters are not just two-dimensional. They are solid and interesting, and they're layered and complex, and it's really fascinating exploring those relationships and thinking about how they came to be where they are in this point in time, in the beginning and the middle and the end of the play, because everyone actually seems to go on a kind of journey. Christopher certainly goes on a big journey. We won't tell everyone where, how, but you both, Judy and Ed, go on an emotional journey. Mrs. Gascoigne goes on a journey. So I think that leads us into, why should audiences come and see our production? Why should they come on the 26th to the 30th of August?
Well, I think it's really interesting. I hadn't realised that the book had been written so long ago. And 2003 was a long time ago. Who knew? But it is, because so much has happened. And then the play actually was written 2012. Yeah, so that's a long time ago.
But it was first performed in 2012.
So much has happened in the world. And actually thinking about what you said about Mark writing it from a point of, he just thinks differently, he lives by his own set of rules. How we deal with neurodiverse children within school is entirely different. It's not about labelling someone in a negative fashion. It's about adaptive teaching and how we differentiate in a more inclusive way. And that's what society is, sometimes, hopefully, in a way more inclusive. And the same, I was saying about Judy being a villain, but the way that feminism has moved on and the way that we talk about mothers has moved on so much as well, that actually I think as an audience member, I would probably watch it differently, as I did in 2013, something like that, than I'm now experiencing it as an actor. So I think even if you've seen it or you've read it, I think we're bringing something new to it. And you may find that the text come across in a different way to you now after all this time has passed.
I also want to mention the soundscape that Nick has written and still writing, actually, and adapting as we go through the rehearsal process, which continues all the way through the play with some really beautiful themes. We're on a traverse stage, which is interesting. All the actors are on the stage all the time. What we're calling ensemble actors are made up of the children in Christopher's school. So as the book was Christopher's book, so it was a book within a book, so our play is a play within a play. And as an ensemble member, as the ensemble member, Sabrina, here tonight with us, how does that manifest itself on stage?
Yeah, it's great. And from the actor's perspective, it's just great being engaged the entire time and kind of being able to watch it and just enjoy it and then react, which I think from the audience perspective then makes them be like, oh, wow, they're even more drawn into it. And I also think from the audience perspective, sometimes as an audience member, I just like looking at everything, sometimes not the main person, so you get to catch these little bits, maybe little costume changes and little jokes here or there. There are some cool things that pop up, but it's really engaging, and it just feels like you get to be a part of it. You're bigger than yourself, part of something that's bigger than yourself. Is that the phrase? Which I think is really cool.
Great. So you're a child in the school, and then as a child in the school, you're playing Mrs. Gascoigne.
Yes.
And you're playing multiple other parts.
Yes, like when Christopher ventures out, so we get to be people like within his community, people that he runs into, like strangers. So very much also though like kind of guardian angels as well. So when he's feeling certain things and he's stressed about certain things, we feel that as well as the kids on the side as we're watching it. So we're kind of part of his consciousness, which is cool.
Super. Okay. And going back to the neurodiversity, we have a relaxed performance on Saturday matinee, which is Saturday the 30th at 3:00. And the relaxed performance, in the way of other theatres doing relaxed performance, will be not so dark in the auditorium. Children can come with their carers. It's a performance specifically for people who may have sensory issues or may have challenges physically, and so they can come and go if they wish to come and go. The bar will be open. They can sit quietly if they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or they just want some quiet time. We, I think, are giving away free tickets to carers of people who are coming to see that. So I think that's all we need to share at this point in time. So thanks everyone, it was really great to have you join us, and thanks to Cait. Back to you.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Frances and gang. That was fascinating. I'm really excited about seeing this. I know it's going to be a brilliant production. Frances's productions are always brilliant. And so please don't delay and get your tickets. Go to our website, www.putneyartstheatre.org.uk. All the details are on there. And as I said before, more details about what the relaxed performance actually entails too. So see you from the 26th to the 30th of August. See you then.
This is a real Putney Theatre Company production. Do share the podcast with your friends and take a look at our website, searching online for the Putney Theatre Company. So that's it for now. See you next time.